what was your first interaction with Trump?
First interaction with Trump was we rented the Trump Plaza for WrestleMania 4 and 5. And it's kind of funny because I got some pictures on my phone where I'm in the middle of the ring doing the ear thing and I'm bleeding like a pig, and you can see him sitting in the front row just cheering and having a blast. But the first interaction with Trump was WrestleMania 4 and 5. And, I didn't think he'd come to the show, but he was there early, came in the dress room, met all the wrestlers.
Is that him? Is that the one, Rob?
Oh, that's probably one of them. Yeah, that's probably one of them.
So he came, his back there, was meeting you guys, talking to you, shaking hands.
Yeah, came in the back, met all the wrestlers, and actually sat down and started talking to us. I was really surprised. And then they said he was sitting in the front row. And, I was surprised because he went out from the first match, and he stayed all the way till, I wrestled and sat through that craziness. Then the next year we went back again, and it was the same thing. We had such a good time at his venue, and we made so much money there because he gave us such a good deal that we went back again. He was the same guy, and he's the same guy now that he was back then. He hasn't changed a bit. I mean, he's just a really quality person. It's amazing when you sit down and actually get to know the guy.
What's your impression when you say same guy now versus then? Because you've actually had one-on-one versus everybody else is getting secondhand information, right?
Yeah.
And you've done business with him where you're doing events at his place. Behind closed doors, what do you like most about his personality and how he treats you?
Well, it's not so much how he treats me. He treats, and I've stole this from him. When I say I treat everybody the same, I learned that from him. I mean, I actually watched him because all of a sudden when I started wrestling this character, Hulk Hogan, became popular, all of a sudden I was having all these dying kids and Make-A-Wish kids come to me. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Then it got to the point where I got used to it. And now at 71 years old, when the Make-A-Wish people call me, I thank God it's still happening. But at first I didn't know how to handle it, didn't know how to talk to these kids, or this is their last wish. I would see Trump talk to these kids, and not only would he spend a second or two with them, the handlers would come in and go, okay, well, Donald's busy. He's going to go to the side. And he'd go, no, I'm not busy. Not busy for John. I'm staying here with little Johnny. I'd sit there and watch him. And not only would he talk to these kids, he'd touch them and rub their backs. And one of my favorite things is to grab these special kids and go, hey, I'm really tired, and I'm a lot older than you, and I just want to steal the energy from you. And when you go home, you're going to be really tired and pass out, but I'm going to steal your energy so I can get through this day. I learned that from him, and I saw him do that with these kids. So I've learned a lot watching him, and he's personable, and we even used him in the ring. We asked him to do this whole wrestling story where the billionaires were against each other, and you could probably pull that up, the billionaire match where whoever lost the match would have their head shaved. Of course, Vince McMahon's wrestler that he was managing lost, so Trump shaved Vince's head, and then we wanted a little something extra out of Trump. And we said, would you mind if Stone Cold Steve Austin kicks you in the belly and stuns you and leaves you laying there? He goes, oh, no problem. So Stone Cold Steve Austin kicks him in the belly, hits him with a stunner, which does not feel good, I can tell you. And he just laid there. And he was great. So he's one of the guys. I don't know what to tell you. It's just that simple.
Yeah,
he's one of the guys.
That's the one, Rob. We can't probably show that, right? When you go to with WWE, they're the ones, them and UFC. You may want to not show that, Rob, with the audience. But yeah, I mean, you hear these stories, right? You hear people telling these stories. And then, then you hear what the media is saying. It's a night and day thing. But going back to...
Well, I have to touch on that because the media, I've learned, and when he says the fake news, it didn't really register. And then as I'm pushing my grocery cart, we have a grocery store chain here in Florida called Publix. As I'm pushing my grocery store cart through Publix, I'm going down one aisle and down the other. Then when I come back up the aisle where you check out, I see the National Enquirer. Hulk Hogan has major heart attack. I'm like, I did? And I was like, oh my gosh, I get it. Fake news. And it really put a spotlight on what he meant by fake news because he's demonic. He's going to be Hitler. He's going to be this. He's going to be that. And like I said before in several interviews, in the Bible, it says, listen to where people are speaking from. And when somebody says he's demonic or he's responsible for the border being open or he's responsible for inflation, listen to where people are speaking from. They're the ones that are responsible for that. And it hit me like a brick when I saw that Hulk Hogan had a heart attack. I'm like, Okay, I get it. It's all BS. It's not true.
How old were you the first time? How old were you the first time you experienced fake news? The first time they said a story like, there's no way this is true.
Gosh, probably 20 years, 25 years ago.
Still in the 90s, you're thinking. Okay, so it was in the late
because
90s.
I was buying into all this stuff because I would travel and go through every airport in the world, and the only thing that was in the airport was CNN. That was the only news source I got. And so now I realize the majority of America would get the mainstream news, and they don't really get, the real truth of what really is going on.
You're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you this, but the last 13 and a half years, I've been working on my first fiction book to write, ever. Fiction book to write. And while I finished this book, a year ago, I got the strangest phone call about one of the characters in the book where the guy wanted to meet with me, and he read the book. And afterwards, it's like, wait a minute, am I the villain in the book? This is a story about a character named Asher, who is half Armenian, half Assyrian, whose father was involved in the Iranian Revolution, linked to Savak, working with the Shah, that they escape, and he gets recruited to a secret society. Well, when you go to the secret society, it's been around for a couple thousand years. They've developed some of the craziest leaders of all time, and they test you. There's unique tests that they have at this society where they test to see your emotional mental toughness. One of the tests that they have is very rigorous. It's purely mental. Of course, there's a physical one, but one is mental and emotional. If you're Armenian, if you're Syrian, if you're Persian, this is a book you're going to be reading and saying, holy moly, this is the kind of stuff you talk about in here? Yes. If you're somebody that's fascinated by history, this is a book for you. Characters. There's a technology that this society, secret society, builds where you go into a vault. I won't spoil it for you. When you go down, they have a technology where you get to sit down and watch and have a 3-4 hour conversation with Tupac. You can set up a debate between Karl Marx and Ayn Rand. Karl Marx is in the book, who wrote Communist Manifesto. Ayn Rand, who wrote Atlas Shrugged, is in the book. Marilyn Monroe explains the concept of seduction and sex in the book. When you read the book, it's about development of the next leaders in the world and how they do it and how they've been doing it for many years. And it's also about how to prevent the end of civilization and how this organization goes about doing it. So, I've never written a parenting book before, but if I ever wrote a parenting book, this is the closest thing to it because it's all mindset, a lot of crazy stories. Again, 13 and a half years. Trust me, I told myself I will not publish this book until I sell my insurance company and I'm fully disconnected from it, where it's no longer my responsibility 100%. When you read this, if you're a creative person, if you like fiction books, if you enjoyed Atlas Shrugged, or if you enjoy Divergent, if you like books like that, I think you're going to enjoy reading this book. It's the creative side. Business books is very easy. Here's how you do it. Here's how this how it works. This is very creative. If you haven't placed the order yet, now you can order it on Simon & Schuster, Amazon. I'm going to put the link up below somewhere here, maybe even in my profile. Go order the book and read it. I've never written a book where I can't wait to read your reviews to see what you think about this book. So I'm going on this wild journey, and we have some plans with this book here. If you support the things that I work on, I would appreciate you going and reading the book, order the book on Amazon, and then post a review.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.